Over the past few years, Nissan has taken on an ambitious agenda of essentially refreshing its entire model lineup, as many as 10 models, which is certainly necessary. Their sales have been languishing, their models have looked dated, so they've begun the process, and in 2021, they only had a couple more to go. One of those last refreshes to be done is the Nissan Pathfinder. It's one of the longest nameplates in Nissan's lineup. It's been around for 35 years, but it hasn't been redone in 9. But that all changes with what's beside me right here. And on this review, I'm going to take a look at the all-new 2022 Nissan Pathfinder. You get inside this new 2022 Pathfinder, and right away you see some impressive changes, at least here in this top-end platinum trim. You've got this two-tone combination of interior, this sort of caramel brown leather with black. I mean, it's not unique. It's common in a few other vehicles, but it looks quite nice. Sitting on Nissan's famous zero-gravity seats, they're really comfortable, and it's sort of a higher-end leather here, too, that overall all week long I've really enjoyed sitting in it, never felt fatigued. It's very comfortable. The overall look here of the new Pathfinder, well, I've kind of seen it a little bit before because I've already reviewed the new Rogue, and I've also reviewed the new Mitsubishi Outlander. And again, they're all basically part of the same launch of vehicles. So there is familiarity to it, but there's a couple of things here on the Pathfinder that I'll just make note of. You're certainly looking at this 9-inch center screen, and it's 8 inches on lower trims, but here on the top end it's a 9-inch screen. There's something about the visuals, the graphics. If you compare it, the quality of the graphics to what you see on the driver information display, and you've got the new fully programmable digital LED information cluster. It's really nice. I actually quite like it. It's the same one that we saw with, again, the launch of the Rogue, and it's the same basic that we saw in the Mitsubishi Outlander. But there's just something about this graphics here, and I mean, it's a small thing, but it's almost like they completely reinvested in the information cluster, and they sort of carried over what you see here, because there's just something about the quality of the graphics here. It just seems to be, I don't know, not quite the same. I mean, and the available sort of search menu here, I don't know, man, it just kind of seems like it's a bit of a throwback to what it used to be. It's not as slick and as up-to-date as, I don't know, everything else looks really modern and new, but there's just something about the information here that doesn't seem that way. And also, when I was looking at the map, maybe it's just me, but it seems to be, I'm looking at it as with an off angle. Many driver cockpits now, as we're sort of looking, do have a slight camber in where it's angled slightly towards the driver, so almost more of a cockpit thing. When I first stepped into the Pathfinder, I noticed right away it almost seemed like I was looking at it off to the side, and you know, it should always be about the driver, so not a huge issue, but I still noticed that. But I do like the center information cluster because there's lots of buttons, and you know, some people feel that's not modern and slick, but I quite like it because, to be honest, buttons and tactile is something I've always been a fan of. Volume controls, scrolling, all your menu selections are firm tactile buttons. Your climate control is the same thing. You already have easy access. You know where the buttons are. Your heated steering wheel is here. Your heated seats, your cooled seats, it's all well positioned. The driver, the center console here, you've got your electronic shifter, which we have now seen before, again, in the Rogue and in the Outlander. It's electronic. It takes some getting used to. I actually found a couple times, despite being in those other two vehicles before, when you shift out into drive, you have to be careful because of you can get into a manual select. There are paddle shifters on the wheel, and a couple times where I thought I just simply went shifting down into drive, I found myself into first gear, and it happened once when I was trying to just accelerate quickly, and I just, go, wait a minute, what's going on here? So you have to be careful about that. You also have your drive select mode, rotating knob here, And again, we're looking at, there's 7 positions with the drive mode. You've got 3 sort of drive modes. You've got your standard, your sport, and your eco. And in terms of terrain modes, you have snow, you have sand, you have mud rut, and you have towing. With respect to towing, the standard allotment maximum towing for this is 3,500 pounds, but that's only if you don't have the available hitch and harness, and pretty much everything SV and above does. So in reality, your towing limit is 6,000 pounds, which is much better, and it's easier to get, boats around or a lot of things. 6,000 is pretty good for a vehicle such as this. In terms of power and output under the hood of the new Pathfinder is a single engine. It's a 3.5 liter V6, naturally aspirated, puts out 284 horsepower and 259 pound-feet of torque. It is paired with a 9-speed automatic transmission, no CVTs, it's just the 9-speed. And of course, there's intelligent 4-wheel drive with the 7-position drive and mode selector. The previous generation Pathfinder did have a hybrid powertrain. This does not, and just similar to the Rogue, similar to the Outlander, we've only heard single engine options. I can't help but imagine that there is electrification of some sort coming. It would seem very misplaced and strategically wrong if they didn't, given that so many of their competitors are including just traditional hybrids, plug-in hybrids, and full electrics. So while there's nothing yet, I'm sure there's something to come. In terms of fuel economy, it actually does depend on the trim level, but the combined fuel economy ratings, according to Nissan, is a 10.2 liters per 100 kilometers, which works out to 23 US miles per gallon. That's an all trim save for the Platinum. I guess with extra features in the Platinum, it's just a little bit heavier, and you're looking there at 10.7 liters per 100 kilometers, which is 22 US miles per gallon. I have been averaging just a little bit below that, and it's not bad considering I've done not a lot of highway driving. I've done mostly just shuttling the kids around this week, and I'm at about 10.4, 10.5, so it's pretty on point with respect to its fuel economy. This Platinum trim does have a Bose 13 speaker sound system. It does have, through the Nissan Connect app, availability for your Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. You can also do wireless Apple CarPlay, which is certainly a benefit for those who are on Apple. I would like to see it with Android. That's probably coming eventually. So with the 7-seat configurations here on the 2022 Pathfinder, which is standard in Platinum, and it's also optional in SV and SL, you have different ways to get into the third row. They have provided a center console for the second row, which is great for cup holding and some storage and stuff. It's also easily removable should you wish to have access through the middle. And I did try to do so, and it is pretty easy. You just remove the sort of a front cover, and there's a simple button inside that releases, and it comes right out. Now, that would be certainly really convenient if getting into the third row from the door side was difficult. But it's actually not with this Pathfinder as well. In fact, it's really easy. It's a simple, and they've done this well. They did this well in old QX60s and Pathfinders. It's always been easy to get in. Just again, it's a simple one-press button, and it launches forward, plenty of easy access. So 2 different ways to get into the third row, both of which are pretty good. Cargo is always an important aspect of a vehicle such as this, and with this 2022 Pathfinder, if you had all rows up, you will see 16.6 cubic feet of cargo behind the third row. Put the third row seats down, you jump up to 45 cubic feet of cargo space. Put the second and third rows down, have only the front row up, and you're up to 80.5 cubic feet of space. Nissan says you can actually put 4x8 sheets in here of plywood. I haven't tested that because I don't need any 4x8 sheets right now. I did a couple weeks ago. Too bad I didn't have it then, but that's what they claim. Legroom is always important too in vehicles such as this, especially with the third row. Here in the front row, you've got lots of travel. There's 44.3 inches of legroom. You get into the second row, and still pretty good for those there. You get 35.5 inches. But in the third row, I mean, again, it's not too high above. That's just the nature of these types of vehicles. So it's generally designed for more for kids and smaller people. But there is 28 inches legroom there for the third row. But again, you're having to move your second row up. So, it's okay. But, this is really a 3-row vehicle if there's young kids involved. I don't think I'd put 6 adults in here for any long periods of time because it gets pretty cramped in the back. So after 9 years, was it worth the wait for this third generation 2022 Nissan Pathfinder? For the most part, I think, yeah, it's a nicer vehicle overall. Certainly, I like the exterior design better than what it used to be. And on the interior, overall, more ergonomics, more efficiency. The top-end Platinum trim really is quite nice inside. It's a really nice ride. Whatever annoyances or things I don't like about it, there's always going to be things that we don't like, but I don't think it's anything you can't overcome. I don't think a mid-cycle refresh wouldn't cure it, and it might not be something that's important to you. I'd love to see more powertrain options in this, and that is probably coming down the line. So overall, if you're in this category, if you're looking for a 3-row crossover SUV midsize, well, you really need to check this out and see if it's the right one for you against all the other competition out there. That's it for this review. I'm Eric Novak. Thanks for watching. There's plenty of ways for you to keep connected with me, so check out some of my social media links, suggested videos, and I'd really love it if you subscribe to my YouTube channel.